Joining me today on Better Than I Found It is former Baylor golfer and 2016 PGA Champion Jimmy Walker. Jimmy and I discuss a myriad of topics, but focus mainly on his resilience and his ability to overcome obstacles. At 42, he's just as enthusiastic as he's ever been about playing professionally and is truly excited about his future in the game. Let's get right to that interview. Welcome back to another episode of the Better Than I Found It podcast. You're listening to Mike McGraw, the men's golf coach at Baylor University. Our guest today is a very special Baylor University alum, and that is Jimmy Walker, PGA Tour player Jimmy Walker. Jimmy, thank you for joining us today.
You are welcome. Good to be on, Mike.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I have been trying to have Baylor people on this podcast about every fifth or sixth one, and you've been somebody I've kind of pointed to for quite a while that I'd love to have on here. You're obviously you're the most famous Baylor golf alum in history, and you've done a lot in the game of golf that we want to talk about today. But I just want to say thanks for being here today. I think this should be a really good episode for our Baylor fans out there.
I appreciate all that. All that.
Absolutely. So you and I have something in common. We both grew up in Oklahoma. When I think you were born in Oklahoma City and lived there until what age?
I moved down to Texas when I was 11, the June of 11.
So it would have been your dad getting a new job or transfer?
Yeah, he did. He got a new job and shifted gears totally and got down here and moved us onto a golf course and bought a golf cart. And that was pretty much it for me. I'd started playing in Oklahoma. I've been playing for about 2 years or so, about 2 years, and was really into baseball. And we got down here and I started playing golf that summer a lot. And I mean, a lot. And he would let me go out in the golf cart and I would just get after it. So just played a lot. And just all the other sports kind of went by the wayside. I ended up playing some more baseball with some friends in like a church league, but nothing like it was in Oklahoma where it was crazy practices and, state championships and stuff like that. So golf just became the central part of my life when we moved to Texas.
I like hearing stories when PGA Tour players have had their dad be their influence. My dad was the biggest influence in my golf as a kid growing up. I wasn't a PGA Tour player, but I know your dad had a very significant contribution to not only your interest in the game, but how he was a scratch golfer. He was a great player himself.
For sure. I watched him shoot. I haven't done this. I mean, I watched him shoot 60 one day. So he was a very, very good player. And it was just me and him. He was self-taught and he taught me when there was really no talk about, like golf swing theory and why you need to do this and why you need to do that. So I was very just self-taught, homegrown from him. And we practiced chipping a lot and we practiced putting a lot, and we were just best buddies out there. Not to say that we didn't have our, disagreements and stuff while we were out there and everything, but we had some knockdown dragouts a few times I can remember through the career. But, I just remember watching TV and stuff and watching all the guys play golf, and it's like, man, Dad shoots those scores damn near every day we play, and I was like, if I can ever get to where I can beat him, I might be onto something here. And it took me till I was 15 years old before I finally beat him. And then once I beat him, I started to, it's like kind of like one of those things, once you can do something, you tend to be able to repeat it. So sad day for him, proud day for him, awesome day for me when I finally beat him.
I was going to say, I know it was a tough to lose to you that day, but it had to be a great day in his career, his life. Just his son had finally become a player. So you were playing Texas junior golf, and I mean, I don't know did you play a national schedule at all or just Texas?
We didn't really have a ton of the means to go do a lot of this national stuff that a lot of these kids were doing. So I got in some AJGA stuff around Texas and played well. And I remember we made like a family vacation out of going down and playing at Innisbrook for the Rolex, and we drove down and the whole family went. It wasn't just me fly in and, one parent, it was kind of a deal. So, that's how my junior golf career kind of went, and played just mostly local stuff, got recruited by the local schools, nothing really out of state. So that was it. And the Texas high school golf stuff, played really well through that, made it state every year by myself, and which is pretty good feat.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to qualify for state as an individual. You usually have to go as with your team, usually.
Yeah, so, I had won regionals every year. I remember, got close one year in district. I finished second. I played really bad, and but yeah, I won regionals every year and was able to go to state every year. I got top 10 every year too, but never won it.
Never won it. Well, but you did play well enough to get Baylor interested, and Tim Hobby recruited you to come to Baylor. Did you have any other opportunities, or was that the biggest and the best? Yeah,
I did. I had offers at A&M in Texas, and UTEP and Air Force Academy and UTSA and a bunch of other schools, TLU, but I got a great offer from Coach Hobby, and there were some other young, good Texas players that, I think on the night of our recruiting trip, we all kind of decided, hey man, if we all come here, we're going to have a pretty good 4 years together. And we really did. So that it was a fun recruiting trip. I had a great time. I enjoyed the guys, and still do to this day. And we had a good run there.
Yeah, you had a great run. In fact, I was the assistant coach literally for your entire career at Baylor. I was at Oklahoma State, and your last conference championship at Prairie Dunes, I know you remember this. The wind blew really hard that week. I mean, even par would have been an amazing round of golf if you could shoot it. Your teammate Worth Williams won the tournament at 5 over, and he won the golf tournament. Well, and a couple other things about that. Worth actually was in my 7th grade social studies class at Sequoia Middle School when I was a high school golf coach. Yeah, you probably didn't know that, but
I've known
Worth since he was in the 7th grade. But you guys won the conference championship that day. I think only the third one Baylor had ever won. And I'm going to ask for your memory of that day, but I'm going to tell you mine, because all I remember was a very unhappy Mike Holder in the van all the way back to Stillwater. So you made my day miserable. Well, talk about your day.
You didn't have as long a drive as we did. Actually, we flew. We got to fly, but it was really cool. I remember, Worth played so well, and he just out of nowhere. I mean, he won 5A state his senior year, and then decides to go on and win the Big 12 Conference Championship his last year. And, he was the key for us winning that week. I played okay. We had Brandon played pretty good, and then Worth wins. So, he was the key for us, having a chance to win that golf tournament. We always just kind of needed one more guy stepping up and playing a little better. And that was it. That's what got it done for us. I remember going out and watching the last couple of holes, and it was pretty surreal. I was like, holy crap, we're going to beat Oklahoma State. We're going to beat everybody this week. This is pretty wicked on a great golf course too.
Oh, that's still one of my favorite golf courses in the world. The green complexes are amazing. And when the wind blows more than 20, you've got a fight on your hands. It's a fight.
You really do. You really do. It's very gettable when it's not windy, but I don't think that's the case in middle of nowhere, Kansas.
No, not in April. In April, it's going to blow. So we're not playing the conference championship there this year. We're at Whispering Pines down in
another great golf course.
Fantastic golf course. Really good. So, and
have you played it since they've redone it?
Say it again.
Have you played it since they've redone it?
I have not, but Chet Williams, who did the work, has told me about it. He's real excited. So it must be really good.
It's really good.
That's great. Well, we're looking forward to going down there. But
you said something about Southern Hills?
That's the third course in our rotation now for the Big 12 Championship. So those are 3 pretty great places to play a conference championship. But you have that great memory from 01. Mine is not as good, but that's okay. So that year you were a 3rd-team All-American. You finished your career with 19 top 5 finishes. Still no Baylor players ever done that. And you had 3 wins. So you turned pro kind of immediately after college. And I think you played, and I remember seeing you at the U.S. Open at Southern Hills in 2001.
Yeah, I qualified. I got through a 2-spotter up in Dallas, and that was it. And I decided I was going to turn pro there at the U.S. Open. And phenomenal week, being in Tulsa. I'm from Oklahoma. And so I had a lot of family out there and made lifelong business partnerships that week. It was just, it was a huge stepping stone for, jumping into professional golf. My coach came up there, I started working with Brian Gathright into my junior year. So he was really starting to help me fine tune my golf game. And I felt like my senior year at Baylor, I really started to learn how to really play golf at a higher level than I had been playing. And we get to Southern Hills, and I'd never really put on greens that fast or that had that much, slope. Maybe they didn't have that much slope, but I remember 18 was a big deal that year because you couldn't keep a ball on the green. 9 was kind of the same way, but I remember going out and shooting 79 the first round and was pretty bummed, and came back, shot bogey-free 66 on Friday, and just still to this day, one of the greatest rounds of golf I've ever played. Absolutely amazing. It was, we got that rainstorm that kind of softened the golf course up a little bit, and I was bombing it everywhere, bombing it over the corners, and just really played solid and had a decent weekend. And it was a great start to jumping into pro golf, at the US Open. Pretty amazing.
Great spot in Oklahoma. You got to do it in front of friends and family. That's wonderful. So now we're going to go through, I'm trying to get people to where you are today, but through sort of a chronological look at it. So you played some mini tour golf and eventually got on to the Korn Ferry Tour. Talk about that little stretch where you weren't playing glamorous golf. I mean, you're playing at a lot of mini tour events. For
sure. It was pack the car up and rock and roll, and you would find stuff to play in, a lot of pay to play events. It was the Tight Lies, and played some Gateway stuff out in Arizona. Won one of those, won a Tight Lies, won some local stuff, and just, you're always just trying to play and doing a bunch of Monday qualifiers for the Korn Ferry. And I missed at Q School, and then started doing the Monday qualifying again, and played really well and earned some status out there. Missed at Q School. And then my numbers started getting called up, and played the whole year in 2004 as a full member, and won the Player of the Year and won the money list. And then that, jumped me into the big leagues. But, in the beginning, it's hard work. You've really got to plan what's going on, and it's pretty lonely out on the road, especially when you're driving your car. I remember they had it set up a lot better back then where you could drive it. Today it's kind of all over the place. I feel for the guys that are playing there, but at least they've got a place to play. But I mean, I remember taking off from Texas, and I made it all the way up to Niagara Falls, and then I made it all the way to Oregon, and then I made it down to Southern California, and then finally back to Texas. I mean, it was an insane, one of those years. It was insane, just the amount of road tripping we did. It was crazy. Well, but that 2004 was not just a great year golf wise. I think you met your wife Erin that year, didn't you? I did. Pretty wild. And here we are today, and remodeling a house, and 2 kids, and 3 dogs later, and what kind of a bunch of horses.
What kind of dogs do you have?
I've got 2 Vizslas right now. We just lost our 16-and-a-half-year-old toy fox terrier about a month ago. So that was a real bummer. She'd been with us our whole life, and already looking at maybe getting another small dog. It's kind of fun to have a small dog, but we love our big Vizslas. They're beautiful and fun and super smart. Yeah, my wife is a dog person. She loves it, and she's always talked about Vizslas. We've been a lab family, but we'll maybe get into a Vizsla one day. Who knows? So I can't recommend them enough. Okay, perfect. Well, because of that Player of the Year, now you have PGA Tour status the next year in 2005. Now, I know something pretty unnerving happened that year, a neck injury. Can you talk about that and how long it took you to get back? Yeah, here I am. I'm at the Sony Open, and I'm out hitting golf balls, and all of a sudden it feels like somebody just jammed a knife in the back of my neck. And I mean, I couldn't move. It hurt really bad. I mean, I was just basically like paralyzed in my neck. I mean, I couldn't move it. I didn't know what had happened. And we go down and get an MRI of my neck, and I've got a disc bulge, and they're like, your body's protecting against it. It doesn't look like it's hitting a nerve. You don't have any nerve pain or anything like that. But I was locked up bad, and I started to feel like Wednesday late afternoon that I could hit, and I went out and tried to hit, and I got to 6-iron, and it went bad again, and withdrew and flew home. It was pretty bad. Took a couple of weeks for it to feel back to normal, and then going through therapy and stuff, I never thought that really helped the stuff that I was doing. And I just fought it for a while, and I just never could get back on top of it. I couldn't really, I was having a hard time practicing. It was just enough where I could, maybe play, and it's not really how you want to do it out there. So fought that all year. I ended up taking a major medical, went back in 2006 and didn't play very good. So I had to go back to Corn Ferry in 2007. I got my card back there, won a tournament, finished like 25th on the money list. And 2008, still struggling with the neck, missed my card, got it back at Q School. And then it was 2009 when I finally got a hold of somebody that really knew what he was doing. And he was running around on tour, and, basically to keep my neck in check, there's a lot of deep tissue therapy on my neck and my back and into my arms, keeping those muscles nice and calm and relaxed. And that's what takes the pressure off my neck. And because obviously I was doing something to aggravate this disc bulge in my neck. And since we've gotten a hold of that, and I have these routines of, body breakdowns, like I haven't had a problem with it. It's been pretty amazing. And that's what helped me the most, being able to get back to where I felt like I could really grind and practice and work hard, where I just really couldn't, because I was so afraid of, this neck that just kept happening. It was brutal.
So that was a 3 to 4 year process getting it right.
For sure.
Yeah. Well, I think a lot of people, when you finally broke out and started playing some amazing golf on the PGA Tour, I think a lot of people thought, well, this guy's just jumped onto the scene, but you had been playing pro golf for a long time at that point. Go through a few things. You were building momentum from that 2010 all the way through 2013, getting a little bit better every year. But in 2014, you won 3 tournaments. You won the AT&T, the Sony, and the Fries.com. I think that awakened the golf world to who Jimmy Walker was. And so talk about a little bit about that, because now all of a sudden you're a Ryder Cupper. Now all of a sudden you've kind of gotten into a different category, if you will.
Yeah, I felt just kind of stuck with some golf stuff, and I was like, I had a buddy go, well, who would you go see if you could go see somebody? And I said, well, I'd love to go see Butch Harmon. And I got in with him, and he liked me, and we started working together, and I had my best year ever in 13. And I was just like, man, that was awesome. Thank you so much. And he goes, yeah, it was great, but you didn't win. It's like, you got to start winning. It's time to win, Jimmy. And he's like, you got all the tools. It's like, you just got to believe it. So that Fries event, the first year of the 13-14 season, I got into position and played some really great golf on the weekend and got it done. And I got my first win. And it's pretty surreal. It was like a damn whirlwind. It seems like a dream how it happened. Still to this day, every other win doesn't feel like that, but it's such an interesting feeling. It's like an out of body experience. That first win, it was pretty wild. And then, God, it's like once you can do something, like we were talking earlier, you can do it again. You just got to know you can do it. And one ended up winning like 3 out of 8. I won 3 out of 8 starts out of the first 8 starts that year, and it was pretty awesome. And when it's happening, you're like, well, it feels that feels normal and easy. Like, how come you don't do this more often? It's not easy, and but God, it really makes you appreciate it. Now we've just with some of the struggles and stuff, but it's such an amazing feeling when you're out there playing against the best in the world and, making it look pretty easy. And it sure was fun. Butch was a great injection of confidence for me, and lifelong buddy and friend now. And we did some really cool stuff together, and got a major with him in 16 and a bunch of wins in 15, got a win at my home tournament in San Antonio for the Valero. I mean, just some really cool stuff happened, and got to play in the Ryder Cup in 14, and, you know, just had a killer singles match with Lee Westwood. And I mean, so many cool things happened. It was phenomenal.
So when you won that first tournament, were you aged 35, correct? I think that would have been about right.
Sounds about right.
Okay. That's what I'm saying. The young players that are just turning pro and going out there and thinking, you know, I've played for 2 years and I haven't made it. You know, I haven't won it. Guys, it sometimes could take longer. And in your case, you had an injury that kind of even extended it out a little further because you weren't able to work at your game. But that's a long time. You played 13 years basically before you won, almost 13 years. And once you won, you realized you could do it, and then you did it quite often. Let's talk about that PGA, because I remember watching that and watching when Jason Day made that eagle right ahead of you, and I thought, oh my gosh, come on, Jimmy, just get this thing to the clubhouse.
We don't, yeah.
Talk about
things
that
we
last
didn't need to
couple of
happen.
holes.
Yeah, so I was playing okay in 16, and I had a really good week the week before in Toronto. Felt like I'd really gotten into some good stuff, especially finishing the golf tournament. Rolled into the PGA, still felt it all felt really good. The putter felt really good. And I remember the first round just going out and I just started making putts. I was hitting quality golf shots and the putts were going in, and they just kept going in all week. And I was hitting it well. And I just remember having this incredible sense, and I know we're at a major championship, but I had this incredible feeling of, I didn't think I could make a bogey because everything felt really good. I knew I was driving it good. And if I hit it in the rough wasn't that bad. And I'm really good out of the rough. I mean, you have to be when you are a 55% fairway shooter that your entire career, you know? So that was a funny, like I told when Ricky and I played in the Ryder Cup, we teed off that first day at Glen Eagles, and we were playing alternate shot. And I said, dude, hit driver and smash it everywhere. It's like, you cannot put me in a place that I can't hit a good shot from. And, you know, he tells me today that really broke the ice and, you know, calmed him down. But I just had that feeling at Baltusrol where I just felt like I wasn't going to make a bogey, and I knew I could get on the green from wherever I hit it. And, I think I made 4 bogeys for the week or something like that. So at a major, that's pretty incredible. And, you know, had a good, that last day, you know, we played 36 holes. I took a nap in between the rounds in my bus, and I can't believe we got it in with the weather that was around us and everything. And I think maybe guys were a bit tired and nobody was really making a run. And Jason Day was kind of hanging in there. And I was just kind of hanging in there. I'd made 9 straight pars in a row, and then I hold a bunker shot on 10 and had a beautiful slight upslope. I mean, it was absolutely perfect. And I make that, and then I make like a 30-footer with 2 breaks in it the next hole. And now I'm going like, oh man, I think this is my day. Like, I think this is going to happen. So we play around to 15, and I'm not in the fairway, and Jason Day makes like a big par putt, like a 10 or 12 footer or something. I remember him looking back at me and kind of staring me down, and I'm like, yeah, I can see you. I know what's going on. I know where I'm at. And par that hole, par 16, 17, I watch him not make birdie, and I've got a 2-shot lead, and me and my caddy are going, if we birdie this hole, like, it's over. Like, we win the golf tournament. You know, that's how we felt. And I flipped a little wedge in there and made a little left to right breaker. And, you know, that for me was like that moment of, man, I just won this golf tournament. That's how I felt. And then he goes and does what he did. And I'm like, well, shit, you know, now it's sorry. I can't know if I can say shit, but that's how emotional it was. But I'm like, hey, here we go. You know, he's making it harder. And then sometimes it's really hard to make a par. You know, I did what I needed to do. I laid up off the tee and I got down there and I had like 272 to the front. And all I'm thinking is like, man, the closer I get to the hole, the easier this is going to get, you know? And I know,
by the way.
Yeah, it's proper thinking. I mean, it's just the numbers say do that. And especially with, you know, if I laid up, there's more rough, there's a lake. I'm like, I'll just blow it over everything. You know, we had ball in hand. I had a good lie. and I blasted. I didn't hit a good shot, and I hit it over about the worst place I could hit it. And then from there, I just said, par's going to be a good score. Don't do anything stupid, and just get the ball out on the green. So I played a real conservative flop shot over the bunker. And, if it was Friday, I'd have hit it to 10 feet and not 30. And so now you roll it down there about 3 feet past the hole. And it's like, okay, well, you didn't win it on the last hole. Now you got to do it again right here. and I hadn't missed a putt like that. And I was putting so good, and I was hitting, everything was going right in the middle. And I was nervous, but not like crazy nervous. I was still very calm and chill. And I always remember this tip that Hobby gave me, especially in cold weather, when you can't really start to feel your hands, and it gets, and you're putting and you feel like you're kind of losing your touch. And he's like, just turn the putter upside down and make a bunch of strokes, with the grip handle down and holding the putter head. And you flip it back around, and all of a sudden you can feel that head moving, you can feel everything. And I can remember, feeling like I was, that was a tense moment. So I flipped that sucker upside down, and I made a couple of practice strokes, and then I get it back in my hands. I was like, it's like, there it is. It feels really good. And I got to watch the putt roll by, and I knew what it was going to do. And it was, but 36 holes of bumpy greens, it can do anything. And I poured it right in the middle. Just absolutely phenomenal. Wife and kids run out, and my trainer's there, and friends are there. And it's just, my sports psychologist was there. Butch was up in the booth calling the shot for Sky. And it was incredible. Absolutely incredible.
Yeah. And the one thing about it, a major, that's not just another golf tournament. So that's like a career maker right there. So you're always going to be known as a PGA champion. No, that won't ever change. That's pretty amazing. For sure. It's something I can do the rest of my life. I get to go back and play it every year and, be a part of that group. And it's very special. That's great. I'm a good friend of Bob Tway's, and Bob had that same sort of feeling when he won in '86. And, it's just like they never introduce you as just Bob Tway anymore, or Jimmy Walker. Yeah. You're also a PGA champion, which is great. So the next year, another bit of adversity hit your life for you and Aaron, actually, with Lyme's disease. Describe that, how it happened, and kind of what effect it had on your life and your golf life. Well, I don't really know how it happened. They say that you're supposed to only be able to get it from a tick, but I never saw a tick. I just know that I know when I really started to feel bad, I went down and played the World Cup with Ricky in Australia. And I got down there, and all of a sudden I felt like I had the worst flu I'd ever had, but I didn't have any like respiratory stuff. No, nothing in the nose, or just, I felt horrible, and played that whole week and got home, felt better. And then it was like every other week I had this feeling for about 4 months. And I just knew something wasn't right. I was going to see allergists. I was, I had blood work done on some other stuff. And it was my sports psychologist, Julie, who'd had Lyme. She's like, I think you may have Lyme disease. And I was like, Julie, I've never seen a tick. I don't know. I doubt that. And we ran a bunch of panels, and I did have it. I actually showed that I had mono. It said I had mono. It said I was positive for mono, West Nile virus, a bunch of other stuff, like all at the same time. And I guess that they say that Lyme can trigger stuff that you've had in your past, and it, shows that you're, currently having a reaction to it. So I didn't know I'd had all that stuff in the past. Pretty wild. But, so it was like, I finally felt like I had a diagnosis, and, it was hard to get off the couch. I wasn't sleepy. I just had no energy and just had the worst body aches, and it was absolutely horrible. It's such a hard feeling to describe. It's like, it's like your battery is at 5%, like all the time. And, I was able to play through it for a while, but the practice was not there. And, before you know it, it just started to get sloppy again. And, sloppy mentally too. The way it hits you physically, it hits you mentally too. Memory isn't as good. I'm very forgetful. I think it's getting better.
things that you were working on, it's hard to remember the next day. So, you're writing stuff down, and you go boil a pot of water to, make some pasta for your kids, and you go get in your car and drive away from the house to go run an errand, just stuff like that. And so physically today, I feel like I'm 100% back. Yeah, I think still suffering from a little bit of the mental stuff that, it affects every part of your body, it affects your brain. And so hopefully those pathways and stuff are, getting back to normal.
Well, I'm glad to hear that you are on the way back. That's good to hear. So just from what we've talked about in the last 30 minutes, you've had, relatively speaking, quite a bit of adversity as a professional golfer in your career. Now, I know some people have had more and others have had less, but you've had quite a bit. Why are you so resilient, and what gives you the ability to come back the way you have? Because I think you're playing really well right now. I think your game is really on the way back.
It's really shown good. I started working with Cameron McCormick middle of last year, and I've really enjoyed working with him. I've never worked with a coach that works as hard as he does, and he's very, very demanding, which I really enjoy, and holds me accountable to a lot of stuff. But why am I so resilient? I don't know. I've always had that kind of, something bad happens and you're able to just kind of flush it down the toilet and start anew the next day. And the first time around, it was, I'm not going to say it was easy, but you're young and resilient, and, but now wife and kids and responsibilities and life weighs on you a lot more at this age. And, it took some just kind of stepping back and going like, what, I could retire, like I could quit, and we'd be just fine. So that to me, once I finally wrapped my head around that, like, wow, we could, you don't have to do this if it's that hard anymore. It's because it's tough. It's a hard game. And when it's not going well, and the amount of time you feel like you're putting in and you're not getting any results, it's tough. And, most, 98% of professional athletes are done at 42. They've quit, they're done. Their body can't take it anymore. So once I wrapped my head around that, and that all started to feel better, it just feels like a little bit of weights lifted off of you. And, this is my last year of full status on the PGA Tour. And I want to make the best of it. I mean, I want to write this story. I want to write the end of this story the way I think it needs to be written. And so I've got to go out and do it. But I still think I've got really incredible golf left in me. I still do a lot of things really well. I still have all the length you need to compete and play on tour. Parts of my game that had struggled, that were so key to me playing well, are back, I think. And it's pretty exciting. So in Vegas a couple of weeks ago, I was third in birdies for the week, and just kind of clean up a few other little things. But that's what I haven't had, is the firepower. I haven't been making the birdies, and it's nice to do that again.
Well, that was one of my next question, actually, was, you're only 42. I mean, you do have years left as long as you stay relatively healthy. So how is the enthusiasm? I mean, because I've always figured that was like a 15th club in the bag. If you're excited and love what you're doing, you're going to be better at it. I mean, do you have a high level of enthusiasm right now?
Yeah, I'd say it's probably a 7.5, 8 out of 10, something like that. I put my hardest work in out on the road. At home, there's things to do, and it's just life is in the way. And so when I get out on the road, I put in crazy long days and really work hard. And not that I don't at home, but it's not as much at home anymore, honestly. And so I like going and watching the kids do their fencing and helping with homework. And, there's just all kinds of stuff to do, especially with remodeling a house. But my wife's taken most of that burden, and it's done a great job. But I still want it really bad, and I do feel like I am putting in the work to be great. So my enthusiasm is there, and I'm heading out right after we get done talking today to get back after it.
I love it. Where are you playing? I know you're going to play a good stretch here of golf. Where are you playing?
So next week we play Cancun, and then we come back and play Houston, and then we play Sea Island, and that's the last event of the year. And then we'll kick it back off at a place I really enjoy going to is Sony, and we'll be playing a lot of golf starting January. Hunting season's right here right now, so that's big on my mind too right now. And I wish the tour would. I wish we'd get back to having a bigger break in the fall. I think everybody needs, even the kids today, the younger guys, they feel it at the end of the year, and it's tough. Golf's hard, and the PGA Tour wants you playing every week. They'd have a dang tournament every week if they could. It sure seems like, and there's a big push, I think, to get back to, having a 2.5 month break, almost 3 month break off. And I think it'd be great too for, there's a lot of sports going on. Baseball's big, football's big. And, if we could, I think it'd be great to build some want back into watching golf, like starve them for 2 or 3 months. And, people will be really ready to watch golf again. I would think so. And I think everybody's bodies need it. There's really no time it's hard to work on a golf swing. It's hard to change things while you have to play 24/7, 365. It's pretty tough. So I think they might have a better product if they get back to it.
Yeah, I remember young, my favorite player was Jack Nicklaus. And I remember once he played at Disney, that was November 1st. He didn't come out again until January 15th. He had 2.5 months.
Yeah.
He'd take a golf lesson somewhere in there from Jack Grout, but he'd be so refreshed and ready for the new year. And I think sometimes we all think in life that more is always better, and it isn't always better,
I 100% agree. Yeah, less
is
more a lot.
I agree. And I think that what you said about Cameron McCormick is pretty cool. You love somebody who's demanding of you. And I think our college players and people that are listening to this podcast need to understand that. You better hope somebody is demanding a lot out of you if you want to be the best you can be.
For sure. I mean, he sent me this big, long note that he wrote on his phone, Notes, the Note app. And it was long, and it was just about the first 2 tournaments of the year this year. And it was really long. And then he threw in these little questions in there just to make sure, and he wanted answers. And he did it. I swear, I was like, you threw those in there just to make sure I read this whole damn thing, didn't you? And he just, threw a little smile at me. And, but yeah, he's good and sneaky.
That's great. Well, maybe a lot of the young college players that are listening to this will realize that's a great thing when your coach is expecting a lot out of you. It's a great thing. So
for sure. And
go ahead.
No, it's being held accountable it's huge. And, your players may think that they don't have a job. They're just there to play golf. Well, that is their job. The school is paying you big money to represent them and represent them well. And, that is your job, and you have to take it seriously. Like it's your job that, you're there to have a good time. But nobody says you're supposed to have a good time in college. You're paying to be there, and you're paying to get an education. So, that is a job too. And you are, you're expected to perform for your school, especially, with the athletics and stuff. So I think that's, something that kids need to really take to heart when they step out on the golf course every day and hit the gym in the morning or in the evening. And, they've got a job to do, and they're getting paid to do it.
I agree. Couldn't agree with you more. Hey, one other thing about you that I know that maybe the casual golf fan doesn't know is your kind of love for astrophotography and astronomy in general. Tell me how that came about, because that's not the normal golfer, that's not a normal golfer thing.
I've got that personality where if I get into something, I've got to do it 100%, and I've got to be good at it. And that's no different. I mean, this is no different than anything else, the astronomy stuff. And it just started with a telescope in the backyard and hooked a camera up to it. And I was, searching the internet forums and looking at all these pictures that these amateur guys were putting out. And I was just blown away. I was like, I didn't know you could do that. I said, I wonder if I could do that. And sure enough, here we are. I was doing it, and, got to be really good at it. I mean, I think, one of the better, astrophotographers in the whole world. So I've gotten lots of astronomy pictures of the day from NASA, and just put a lot of heart and time into it. And it's a lot of self-taught stuff and learning how to use the software and put the stuff up and putting it together. And it just kind of keeps your brain working too. I haven't been doing it a ton as of late, just with all the stuff going on. I'm sitting on a lot of pictures to do. I've got a lot of pictures I could do. I think I'll take the laptop with me on this trip and try to bust some out while I'm sitting in the hotel room. But it just got me away from sitting there, just, watching Sports Center and just killing time. Like, I felt like I was actually still being productive and learning something. And I keep threatening to get like a roll-up piano keyboard and for my room, and trying to learn how to play the piano or something. Like, I need something to do next. I'm sitting in the hotel room, like Netflix and all that. Like, holy crap, I got to do something else.
Well, hopefully what you've got to do is resurrect a top 5 golfer in the world career, which you feel like you've got something in there. So let's get that going. What about that?
That would be awesome. I'm definitely putting in that work out there and getting after it. So that's the goal. That is the goal. I mean, I'm not setting any really goals. I mean, it's funny, you see what Justin Thomas does and writes all that stuff down. Like, if you're out there playing and you don't want to do that stuff, then I think I don't necessarily think you need to write those down. I think Cameron and I talked about this the other day. My goal should be to do the things daily to get me into that position where I can perform, to have a chance to reach those goals that everybody out here should have. Win tournaments, win majors, play on Ryder Cups, multiple wins, win 2 weeks in a row. That's one that I would love to be able to do, is win 2 weeks in a row. I've had multiple win years, and I've defended and won a major, but I would love to. That would be the next bucket list, is to win. It'd be fun to win 2 weeks in a row, because I think that really shows that your game is on and travels well. Close I ever got was a 1st and a 7th, I think, at Torrey. So I got to do better than that.
You got it. Well, I want to say thanks so much, Jimmy, for coming on the podcast today. My Baylor sports fans and Baylor golf fans in particular will really be thrilled to hear from you, and to know that you're doing well and progressing, and they can look for some great things from you on tour.
Well, I appreciate it. Thanks for having me on, and thanks for taking me down memory lane. It was pretty fun.
Yeah, that was good. Well, I appreciate it, and play well, Jimmy. We'll see you.
Thanks, Mike. You guys too.